Well, last time Joey got his dog. He got a patch with medicine that would give him a stream of meds all day long. He got his dog named Pablo. We are at the last chapter, chapter 15. Picture me here. The doctor has said I wouldn't be able to tell that the patch was working like I could with my old meds. He said it was a different kind of medicine and would take a while to kick in. But I swear, almost from the first patch, I could feel myself winding down, like I was on a swing that was slowly stopping. When I told Special Ed this, he said it was a good sign because it probably meant I was getting the right dose of medicine at all times and would no longer feel that hyper feeling ever again. It was great because I slowed way down and worked hard at the Special Ed Center, and everything else seemed to speed up. My last 2 weeks downtown zipped by quickly, and when I was ready to leave, it seemed that not much time had passed at all. Still, not all of me had changed. No matter how smart the doctors are, no matter what medication I take, I'll always, somewhere inside myself, be wired wrong, and nothing can be done about it. I don't make my own bed, but it's mine anyway, whether I like it or not. And as Special Ed said, you gotta face the hand you're dealt with and deal with it and make your problems be the smallest part of who you are. I like that. Make your problems be the smallest part of who you are. You shouldn't be all about what your problems are. I like that. My friend Charlie was ready to go too. He had built up the strength in one of his little hands so they attached a plastic arm over it, and he could control almost real feeling soft plastic fingers on the end. After Special Ed said my stay was nearly over, I found Charlie and he shook my hand with his new one, and it was a great moment for me. But it was really great for him. Feel this, Pigza, he said, and he wiggled one of his fingers and tickled the inside of my hand. Awesome! When do you get the other? In a few weeks. I'll let you know. We're the only Pigza in the phone book, I said. Call me and you can come over and meet Pablo. He made a little dialing motion with his finger. Will do, he said. Finally, Mom and Special Ed met with Mrs. Jarzab and Mrs. Maxey, and they all agreed to let me back as long as I lived by the rules and took my medication. After the meeting, when Mom told me that, I said, I love rules! And I did. I even made up dog rules for Pablo because he was chewing on stuff. And so I had to send him to his own doggy Special Ed classes so he could learn to only chew his toys. I was really happy that first day back because the Special Ed bus didn't stop at my front door anymore. I walked to school, and when I passed through the front doors, I walked down to the office. Can I see Mrs. Jarzab? I asked the secretary. Welcome back, she said. Have you been on vacation? No, remember me? I cut off Maria's nose tip and was sent to the Special Ed Center and got a patch. Want to see? I think Mrs. Jarzab is very busy right now, Joey, she replied, and reached across her desk and pulled my shirt back down. Can I help you with something? I want to say the Pledge of Allegiance over the loudspeaker, I said. I never did that before, and now I want to. Well, take a seat, she said. I'll see what I can do. While I was waiting, Nurse Holyfield came by. I grinned at her as if I were a squinty Halloween pumpkin with little light glowing out of my eyes and ears and mouth, and she grinned right back. Don't tell me you're in trouble already, she said. No, I cried out, almost laughing. I'm the new and improved Joey. I lifted up my shirt. See this patch? Now watch this. I put my hands on my lap, and I stared down the room at a painting of a clown with an old shoe for a hat and didn't move my head an inch in any direction. I didn't even blink. After a minute, she said, Well, what do you want me to watch? That was it, just me sitting still. Don't you get it? I'm better. She smiled. That's wonderful. But now that you're better, I won't see you anymore. Oh, yes, you will. I'll come for a visit, but not to throw up. You do that, she replied. The secretary returned and said, Yes, Mrs. Jarzab said you can say the Pledge of Allegiance this morning. Way to go, Joey, Nurse Holyfield said. Gotta run. Gotta get the meds lined up. Give them the patch, I said. It's much better than the pills. I'll see what I can do, she said, and hurried down the hall. And before long, I was standing at the microphone with my hand over my heart saying the Pledge of Allegiance. And when I finished, I added really loudly, My name is Joey Pigza, and I'm back! I wanted to say that everyone's nose was safe and not to worry, but Mrs. Jarzab snatched the microphone out of my hand and flicked off the volume. Still, I'm back, echoed through the halls like giants' footsteps, and I loved the sound of it. "Thank you, Mrs. Jarzab," I said as she gave me a cross look. "Now go see Mrs. Howard before you are tardy on your first day back." The deal that Mrs. Jarzab and special ed worked out was that I had to go to the regular school's special ed for a week and prove that I wasn't a danger to myself or anyone else on the planet until I could go back to Mrs. Maxey's class. Plus, as special ed said to me, other kids' parents need to know that their kids aren't going to come home chopped to bits. "Always think of the big picture," he said. "Think of how everyone else feels too." I knew that he meant because I knew what he meant because I had seen with my very own eyes how crazy Maria's dad got after I hurt her. My mom would have felt the same way if my nose tip had been cut off. Well, so starting back with Mrs. Howard was okay with me because I had friends in special ed too. When I went down there, Mrs. Howard made a big fuss over me. "Welcome back," she cried out. "You did a great job on the pledge." The moms were all there, and the aides, and the kids, and everyone who turned and looked at me and said different things, but they all meant, "Great to see you back." "Now, don't get used to it down here," Mrs. Howard said to me. "I'll be shipping you upstairs to your regular class in no time." "I know," I said. "I'm getting a second chance." "You're a lucky boy," she said. "We all need a second chance." She showed me to my desk, and it really made me feel good not to have the rules taped to the top like Mrs. Maxey, because I know the rules. It wasn't that I never knew them, it was that I kept forgetting to stick to them. And Harold was still there. My birthday wish for him had not come true while I was away, or he'd be out of the neck brace and wheelchair and we'd be playing football. Mrs. Howard was busy helping some other kids, so I went up to Harold's mom. "I'm back," I said. I lifted my shirt and showed her my patch. "I've got new medicine." She was really nice. She put her arms around me and squeezed me good. "You give me hope, Joey. If you can do it, then maybe Harold can too." It was amazing to me that she said what she did, because I thought someone would ever point to me and say I gave them hope, that someday their kid would be like me. When she told me that, I stood real still and looked at her in the eye like Mom taught me. "Are you sure about that?" I said. "Ever since the party, when you blew out the candle for his wish, he has been looking for you." I looked over at Harold, and he was just blowing little bubbles out of his mouth, and I didn't think he would ever get better. But because I got better, I wanted him to get better too. Then she said the nicest thing a non-family person has ever said to me. She said, "You know, Joey, the medication has helped settle you down, but you have been a good kid all along. You are naturally good. I hope you know that about yourself. You have a good heart." Aw. When she said that, it was as if she had just blown out the candles on my cake. "Thanks," I said, and I had to half turn away and wipe my eyes on my shoulder. Then I walked off a ways as if I was going to do something else. But instead, I slipped the old photo of me standing still out of my pocket and rubbed it between my thumb and forefinger. I'm not a bad kid, I thought. Then I went over to the bookshelf and picked out a book, and since no one was in the big quiet chair, I climbed up and sat down and began to read. So, there's hope for Joey Pigza. I hope you enjoyed this book. Tune in next time to find out what's our next book.